Sure, just breathe with me, in and out. Let the rain carry every little worry far away from you tonight. Tonight, my sweet friend, we are going to drift together into one of the gentlest stories ever told. A story that feels like warm arms wrapping around a heart that has forgotten how to hope. The Secret Garden, the 1993 film directed by Agnieszka Holland, the one that still makes grown-ups cry quietly in the dark because it remembers exactly how it feels to be a lonely child. Close your eyes now. Feel the cool softness of your pillow. Imagine the faint scent of old roses that haven't bloomed in 10 years. That's where we're going. You are safe here. Nothing can reach you except my voice and the softest rain. Did you know that when they were filming at Allerton Castle in Yorkshire, the crew would stop whenever the wind moved through the ivy just right? Because Agnieszka said it sounded exactly like the manor itself was whispering secrets, almost like a natural ASMR recording from 1890. And do you remember ever feeling, even for a single day, that the whole world had forgotten you existed, like you were a ghost in your own life? If that memory brushes against your heart tonight, just let it come. I'm here. We'll hold it together. This story begins in British India, under a sky so hot it feels angry. Little Mary Lennox, only 10 years old, wakes up one morning to silence, where there should have been servants laughing and teacups clinking. Cholera has taken everyone. Her beautiful, careless mother who never once hugged her. Her father who only ever spoke to her through nannies. Everyone gone. Mary stands in her white nightgown in an empty mansion that smells of sickness and jasmine left too long in water, barefoot on cool marble, staring at her own reflection in a huge mirror that no one will ever dust again. She doesn't cry. She has forgotten how. She simply feels hollow, like a doll someone threw away. Have you ever stood in a room that used to be full of noise, and suddenly it's so quiet, you can hear your own heart wondering if it's allowed to keep beating? Just notice that feeling. Breathe into it and let it soften. Weeks later, Mary is sent across the ocean on a ship that rocks and creaks like a huge cradle. She lies in a narrow bunk staring at the wooden ceiling, feeling the salt air on her lips, tasting metal and homesickness she doesn't have a name for. When she finally arrives in England, the moor is waiting, wide, wild and gray. The wind there doesn't blow. It searches. It slips under doors, through keyholes, looking for children who have forgotten how to feel. Misselthwaite Manor rises out of the mist like a sleeping animal. 100 rooms, they say, and almost all of them locked. Mrs. Medlock, the housekeeper, meets Mary at the door. Her keys jangle like cold bones. Her face is tight, lips thin, eyes that have seen too many sad things. She marches Mary through corridors that smell of wax polish and old grief. Portraits of long-dead Craven ancestors watch with painted eyes that seem to say, "Another lonely child, how original." Mary's room is enormous and cold. A fire struggles in the grate, throwing orange flickers across heavy crimson curtains. That first night she lies under a canopy of embroidered birds that will never fly, listening to the house breathing, and somewhere far away, a sound, a thin, high cry that might be the wind or might be something else. Have you ever slept in a bed that felt too big for your sorrow, like the mattress itself was trying to swallow the parts of you that still hurt? It's okay if tears come now. Let them. The rain outside will catch everyone. The next morning, Martha, the young housemaid with round cheeks and a Yorkshire voice soft as fresh bread, brings Mary her breakfast. Martha chatters about her little brother Dickon, who can charm birds right out of the sky, about her mother, who believes fresh air can cure anything, about the garden that was locked up 10 years ago when the mistress died swinging in her favorite tree. Mary listens with her sour little face, but something inside her leans forward, just a tiny bit, like a seed underground hearing the first drop of spring rain. Martha leaves Mary a skipping rope, red as a robin's breast, and tells her to go outside. Go thyself and play on tea more, Miss Mary. They'll do thee good. And, for the first time in her life, Mary Lennox steps out alone into a world that doesn't belong to anyone. The wind wraps around her like a rough hug. The heather smells sharp and alive, and high above, a tiny bird sings a song that feels like it has her name hidden inside it. Little by little, something inside Mary begins to uncurl, like a fist that has been clenched so long it forgot it could open. Tonight, we're only at the beginning, but already can you feel it? The softest, greenest promise brushing against your cheek. Rest now. Let the manor settle around you like a blanket stitched from moonlight and old secrets. In the next part, we will follow Mary across the moor. We will meet a robin with a red waistcoat who knows exactly where the key is buried. We will hear the first scratch of metal against earth after 10 long years. But for now, just listen to the rain. Feel your body growing heavier, warmer, safer. You are not alone. I'm right here, whispering you all the way into the gentlest dreams. Good night, sweet one. The garden is already waiting. Come with me now. Feel the cold morning air kissing your cheeks exactly the way it kisses Mary's. A little sharp at first, but then it softens, like someone who is afraid to touch you and finally dares. Mary skips with her new rope. The red cord whistles through the air. Thump, thump against the springy turf. Each jump sends a tiny shock up her thin legs, and something inside her chest jumps too. A feeling so unfamiliar she almost stops. It might be joy, but she is not ready to name it yet. She wanders farther than she meant to, past the kitchen gardens where old Ben Weatherstaff grumbles behind the brick walls, his voice rough as bark, his hands twisted from years of pruning roses that no one comes to see anymore. Have you ever walked so far that the house behind you disappears, and for one trembling moment you feel completely free, even if you're not sure what freedom is supposed to feel like? Just let that moment live in your body now. Breathe it in. Hold it gently. Mary sits on a fallen log. The moss is damp and cool beneath her. She watches a robin, plump and bright, hopping along the top of the garden wall. He cocks his head, looks straight at her with one shiny black eye, and sings 2 clear notes that sound exactly like, "Come here, come here." She follows without thinking, because no one has ever asked her to follow anything before. The robin flits ahead, red breast flashing like a tiny lantern. He leads her along the ivy-covered wall, stops, pecks at the earth, then flies to a branch and waits. Mary kneels, her pinafore brushing the wet leaves. Her fingers sink into the cold soil, and there, just beneath a curling root, something hard and metallic. A key, old iron, green with age, shaped like a promise someone forgot they made. Mary closes her fist around it. The metal is colder than the air. It bites her palm a little, and her heart starts beating so loudly she is sure the robin can hear it. She looks up. The bird tilts his head again, then flies straight to a place where the ivy hangs thickest. There is a tiny door, almost hidden, the paint long peeled away, the handle missing. only a keyhole shaped exactly like the key in her hand. Have you ever held something small in your hand that felt heavier than the whole world? Something that could open a door you didn't even know you were standing in front of. Feel the weight of that key with Mary now. Let it rest in your own palm. Cool, waiting. That afternoon she steals back when no one is watching. The key slides into the lock with the softest click, like a sigh the garden has been holding for 10 years. The door resists at first. Ivy tendrils cling like desperate fingers. Mary pushes with her whole body, shoulder against the wood, until it gives way with a long, slow creak that sounds almost like "at last." She steps inside, and the world changes. The air is warmer, thick with the smell of earth after rain, of secret green things pushing up through darkness. Roses, hundreds of them, once loved, once pruned and sung to, now wild and tangled, climbing over each other in grief. Gray branches, twisted like arms reaching for someone who never came back. Some are dead, black and brittle. Others have tiny pink buds fighting to open. The ground is carpeted with last year's leaves, soft and rotting sweetly. Mary stands very still, her breath coming in little clouds. She has never seen anything so beautiful and so sad at the same time. A single tear rolls down her cheek, the first tear she can remember, salty on her lips, and she is surprised that it doesn't hurt. She walks slowly along the hidden paths, fingers brushing the rough bark, the velvet of new leaves. She finds the swing where Mrs. Craven fell, the seat still hanging by one frayed rope, rocking gently, though there is no wind inside the walls. Mary sits on the ground instead, leans her back against the tree, and for the first time in her entire life, she talks out loud to someone who isn't there. "I'm going to make you live again," she whispers to the garden. "I don't know how, but I will." And the garden, if you listen very, very carefully, whispers back. That night, Mary lies in her huge bed, the key hidden beneath her pillow, cold against her cheek. She dreams of green shoots pushing through her ribs, of roses growing out of her mouth when she tries to speak. The next morning she wakes earlier than ever, dresses in silence, steals bread and cheese from the kitchen, wraps an old trowel in her handkerchief. She returns every day, sometimes in pale sunlight, sometimes in silver rain. She cuts away the dead wood with shaking hands. Her palms blister, then harden. She digs the heavy clay soil until her arms ache. She plants seeds. Martha gives her sweet peas, nasturtiums, anything bright. And slowly, so slowly, only a child who has nothing else to love would notice, the garden begins to breathe again. Have you ever cared for something broken so tenderly that you forgot you were broken too? Let that care fill your whole body now, from your tired shoulders all the way down to your toes. Feel it softening every tight place. One afternoon, old Ben Weatherstaff catches sight of her through a gap in the wall. He climbs his ladder roaring, "Who's there? I'll have the law on thee." But when he sees Mary's small, determined face covered in dirt, something in his own face cracks open. He remembers a little girl with golden curls, who used to run to him with scratched knees, Mrs. Craven, and his eyes fill with tears he hasn't let fall since the funeral. Instead of scolding, he hands her a packet of rose seeds through the gap. "Them's from her own bush," he mutters, "the one she loved best." Mary presses the packet to her heart, and for the first time calls him Mr. Ben instead of "you old man." A secret friendship begins. Two grumpy people bound by roses that refuse to die. Sometimes at night, Mary wakes to that strange crying again. Closer now, coming from somewhere inside the manor. A child's voice, thin and frightened. She sits up in bed, heart pounding, candle flame trembling. She follows the sound on bare feet along endless corridors, pressing her ear to locked doors, until one night she finds it. A door she has never noticed before, hidden behind a heavy tapestry of hunting scenes. She lifts the tapestry. The fabric is thick with dust. It makes her sneeze softly, and there is a doorknob, cold brass, shaped like a twisted vine. She turns it. The door opens with a sigh, and Mary steps into a room, lit only by moonlight spilling through tall windows. A boy lies in an enormous bed, pale as paper, dark hair damp on his forehead, eyes huge and frightened. "Who are you?" he whispers, voice cracking. "Are you a ghost?" "I'm Mary Lennox," she answers, chin high. "And I'm not a ghost. I'm real, and I hate you already for having so many pillows." The boy stares. Then, to her astonishment, he laughs, a rusty sound like a hinge that hasn't moved in years. "I'm Colin," he says. "Colin Craven, and I'm going to die." Mary looks at him, really looks, sees the fear that has been fed to him like medicine every day of his life, sees the way his hands clutch the blanket, as if it is the only thing keeping him on earth. "No, you're not," she says simply. "You're coming with me." And just like that, two of the loneliest children in the world find each other in the dark. Rest your head now. Feel how heavy your eyelids have become. We have met the robin. We have opened the door. We have begun the slow magic. Next time we will bring Colin to the garden for the first time. We will watch Dickon play his flute made of reed. We will feel the sun on faces that have forgotten what sunlight is for. But tonight, just let the scent of damp earth and secret roses stay with you. You are doing so well, drifting so beautifully. I'm so proud of you for coming this far. Sleep now. The key is safe under your pillow, too. Shh. Welcome back, sweet one. Feel how the garden has been waiting for us. It missed you while you slept. Can you smell it? That soft green sweetness that only comes when something dead decides to live again. Let your whole body sink deeper into the mattress. Let every muscle remember the weight of earth Mary carried in her small hands. Good, just like that. Colin is still staring at Mary in the moonlit room, his fingers white where they clutch the silk blanket, his breath coming in quick, frightened puffs. Mary stands at the foot of his enormous bed, nightgown hanging loose on her thin frame, hair wild from sneaking through corridors, and she looks, for the first time in her life, completely unafraid. "I have a garden," she whispers, voice low and steady, "a secret one, and it needs you." Colin's eyes grow even wider. "I can't. My back, my legs." "Father says." "Your father isn't here." Mary cuts in, sharp but not unkind. "And neither is the doctor who makes money keeping you sick. There's only me, and I say you can." Have you ever been told so many times that you are fragile that you started to believe your own bones were made of glass? If that belief is still hiding somewhere inside you tonight, let Mary's certainty touch it. Let it soften. Let it crack just enough for light to get in. The next few nights become a quiet conspiracy. Mary visits Colin after the house falls asleep. She brings him bits of the garden, A feather the robin dropped, a curled rose petal still damp with dew, a pinch of soil that smells like life itself. She sits on the edge of his bed, legs swinging, and describes every detail in the softest whisper. How the ivy leaves feel like cool velvet, how the first crocuses pushed up through frost like tiny purple flames, how the swing creaks when the wind remembers Mrs. Craven's laughter. Colin listens with his whole body, lips parted, fingers tracing the rose petal again and again until it bruises. One night he reaches out, trembling, and touches Mary's hand. His skin is paper thin and burning hot. Hers is rough from digging, and for a moment they just hold that difference. Two kinds of loneliness recognizing each other. Did you know that in real life, the boy who played Colin, Hayden Prowse, was so healthy he had to lie still for hours while they powdered his face pale and painted dark circles under his eyes? He said it taught him how heavy fear can feel, even when nothing is actually wrong. Let that truth settle gently. Fear can weigh more than any illness, and love can make you lighter than air. Slowly, Colin begins to sit up for longer, then to stand beside his bed holding Mary's shoulders, legs shaking like a foal's, then to take one step too across the carpet that feels suddenly enormous. Mary never praises too much. She simply says again in her calm little voice, the same voice she uses on stubborn rose bushes. Mrs. Medlock almost catches them one night. Her keys jangle down the corridor. Mary shoves Colin back into bed, throws the covers over his sweaty hair, and stands in front of the door like a tiny, furious guard. When Mrs. Medlock peers in, Mary is sitting innocently on a chair, reading a book upside down. Colin pretends to be asleep, both children breathing so quietly you could hear a moth land. The housekeeper frowns, mutters about drafts and leaves. The second she's gone, they collapse into breathless giggles. The first time Colin has laughed since he was 4 years old. It sounds rusty and beautiful, like a music box finally being allowed to play. Have you ever laughed when you thought you had forgotten how, and the sound surprised you because it still belonged to you? Let that laugh echo inside your chest tonight. Keep it safe. It's yours forever. Spring arrives with impossible gentleness. The moor turns from gray to the softest purple. Larks climb the sky singing songs that feel like stretching after a long sleep. One morning, Mary decides it is time. She and Martha's brother Dickon have already prepared everything. Dickon, the boy who speaks to animals in a low musical voice, hair the color of ripe wheat, bare feet always black with rich earth, eyes that have never learned to be afraid of anything wild. Did you know that Andrew Knott, who played Dickon, grew up on a farm and could actually call lambs and foxes exactly like in the film? The crew said the animals followed him around set like he was made of sunlight. Mary wheels Colin's chair through a side door at dawn. The wheels bump over stone. Colin's hands grip the arms so tightly his knuckles go white. He is terrified, exhilarated, tears already on his lashes. Dickon is waiting with an old wooden wheelchair he found in the stables, cushioned with lamb's wool and wildflowers. Together they lift Colin. He is lighter than he should be. Years of lying still have made him fragile as a bird, but his heart is beating so hard they can almost see it through his nightshirt. They cover him with blankets, pull a wide hat low over his eyes, and begin the slow journey across the moor. The wheels sink into soft places. Dickon and Mary push together, grunting softly, laughing when they almost tip, The air smells of warm grass and sheep and freedom. Colin keeps his eyes closed at first, face turned up to the sun, letting it burn away years of shadows. When he finally opens them, he sees the moor stretching endless and kind, and he begins to cry without sound, tears sliding into his ears. Have you ever felt sunlight on skin that had forgotten it was allowed to feel anything at all? Let the sun touch you now, right through the blanket, right through every memory of being told you were too weak, too broken, too much trouble. You are none of those things. You are alive, and that is enough. They reach the garden wall. The secret door stands open, roses already spilling over the top like they can't wait any longer. Dickon lifts Colin in his strong brown arms, carries him over the threshold the way brides are carried, only this bride is a boy who has never walked further than his bedroom. Inside, the garden has changed beyond recognition. Mary and Dickon have worked miracles in stolen hours. Neat beds of velvet pansies, sweet peas climbing wigwams of hazel twigs, daffodils nodding like golden bells, and the roses. Oh, the roses, some already heavy with bloom, pink and cream and deepest red, scent so thick it feels like you could drink it. Dickon lays Colin on a soft blanket beneath the old swing tree, props him against pillows stuffed with lavender. Colin looks around, mouth open, eyes shining with reflected green. He reaches out one shaking hand and touches a rose. The petal is cool silk. He brings it to his face and breathes it in until he is dizzy. He whispers, voice cracking. I thought everything beautiful was dead. Mary kneels beside him, dirt under her nails, cheeks flushed. Everything beautiful was just sleeping, she says, like you. Dickon begins to play a simple reed pipe he carved himself. The notes float out soft and round. Birds come closer. A fox watches from the wall. Even the flowers seem to lean in. Colin closes his eyes, lets the music fill every empty place inside him, and for the first time in 10 years, he feels his legs, really feels them, tingling alive. Have you ever heard music that felt like someone forgiving you for existing? Let Dickon's pipe play inside your bones tonight. Let it loosen every knot you didn't know you were holding. That afternoon is the gentlest kind of magic. They feed Colin fresh milk Mary carried in a bottle, bread thick with butter and honey from Dickon's mother, strawberries so sweet they make him laugh out loud when the juice runs down his chin. He tries to stand, falls, tries again. Mary and Dickon hold his hands, patient as earth, until finally, his feet remember what they were made for. He takes one step, 2, 3, across the soft grass, arms out like a tightrope walker, face turned to the sun, tears and sweat mixing. When he realizes he is walking, really walking, he shouts a huge raw sound that scares every bird into the sky, and then he is running, stumbling, laughing, crying, running in circles until he collapses into Mary and Dickon's arms. The three of them fall together in a heap, tangled limbs and breathless joy, the garden holding them like a mother who never stopped believing her children would come home. Rest now. Feel the grass beneath your own body. Feel the sun on your own face. Feel strong arms around you that will never let you fall. We are only halfway through the miracle. Next we will watch Lord Craven dream across the ocean. We will see Colin walk into his father's study on legs that were never supposed to carry him. We will watch a garden bring a broken man to his knees in the rain. But tonight, stay here. Stay in the moment Colin first ran. Let that joy live in your legs, in your heart, in every breath you take. You are so safe, so loved, so perfectly, beautifully alive. Sleep now, my darling. The roses will keep watch until we return. Shh. Breathe with them now. Breathe in the thick, honey-sweet air of a garden that has decided to forgive the world. Let your chest rise and fall exactly the way Colin's does. Slow, astonished, almost afraid to believe this is real. Days upon days of stolen spring slide passed like warm water. Every morning, before the house stirs, Dickon and Mary wheel Colin out again. Sometimes they carry him on a makeshift stretcher of branches and blankets when the path is too rough. His body grows heavier with real weight now, cheeks rounding, arms gaining faint cords of muscle from pulling himself along the grass. They invent quiet games. Dickon teaches Colin to whistle with a blade of grass held between his thumbs. The first time Colin makes a sound, thin and reedy, he laughs so hard he cries. Mary races him on all fours to the far rose arch, both of them panting and filthy, hair full of petals, and when Colin wins for the first time, she pretends to be furious, then tackles him into the clover until they are dizzy. They lie on their backs, watching clouds become ships and dragons, and mothers bending down to kiss them. Colin traces the shape of a woman in one cloud, long hair, gentle smile, and whispers, "Mama," so softly only the sky hears. Have you ever said a word you thought was lost forever, and felt the universe lean in to listen? Let that word rest on your own lips tonight, whatever it is. Mama. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. Say it without sound. I will hear it. The garden will hear it. One golden afternoon, Dickon brings a baby fox with a broken leg. He has splinted it with twigs and soft cloth. The little creature trembles in his lap, while Colin strokes its ears with one careful finger. It trusts you. Dickon says, voice low with wonder, "Animals know when someone has come back from the dead." Colin looks at Mary, eyes shining. "I have," he whispers. "I really have." That night he refuses his supper tray in bed. He walks, barefoot and stubborn, all the way to the dining room on Mary's arm. Servants gasp and drop spoons. Mrs. Medlock stands frozen with a tureen in her hands. Colin sits at the huge table back straight and eats 3 whole potatoes before he falls asleep with his head on his plate. Mary has to carry his shoes back upstairs because he is too exhausted to walk another step. But he is smiling in his sleep, mouth buttery and content. Did you know that Kate Mabberley, who played Mary, kept one of the real rose cuttings from the garden set? She planted it in her mother's garden and it still blooms every year, a living piece of the film that refused to stay on screen. Some magic is stubborn like that. It follows you home. Summer deepens. The garden becomes almost too beautiful to look at directly. Roses so heavy they bow to the ground. Delphiniums taller than Dickon. Butterflies drunk on nectar. Colin no longer needs the wheelchair at all. He runs. He climbs the apple tree that leans over the wall. He hangs upside down until his face is crimson and laughs until he hiccups. His screams of joy drift across the moor and reach old Ben Weatherstaff pruning in the kitchen garden. The old man wipes his eyes on his sleeve and pretends it is only the sun. But the biggest change is quieter. At night, Colin no longer wakes crying for his mother. Instead, he dreams of running. And sometimes he wakes to find Mary curled at the foot of his bed like a small, watchful cat, because the nightmares still come for her sometimes. They never speak of it in daylight. They simply know the other is there, breathing, alive, enough. Have you ever fallen asleep knowing someone was guarding your dreams, even if they were only guarding their own at the same time? Feel that presence now, right beside you, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart. Far away, across the ocean, Lord Archibald Craven wanders through Europe like a ghost who has forgotten where he buried his body. He has not been home in years, cannot bear the sight of the manor, cannot bear the sound of a child's laugh that is not his dead wife's. One night in Switzerland he dreams. He is standing in the locked garden, everything gray and dead, and suddenly he hears singing, 3 young voices weaving together like morning itself. He follows the sound, pushes through the ivy, and there is Lilius, his wife, golden hair loose, arms open, standing beneath her swing exactly as she was the day she died. She smiles, the smile that used to make him believe the world was kind, and says only 4 words, "Archie, come home now." He wakes gasping tears, soaking the pillow of a strange hotel bed, and for the first time in 10 years he feels something sharper than grief. Hope, thin and terrifying, but undeniable. Back at Misselthwaite, the children decide it is time. They have been planning in whispers for weeks. Colin practices walking without limping, without holding on. He wants to meet his father standing tall. Mary brushes his dark hair until it shines. Dickon polishes Colin's shoes with spit and a lamb's wool rag until they reflect the sky. They choose the perfect day, warm and golden roses at their absolute peak, the whole garden humming with readiness. Lord Craven's carriage is spotted on the moor road just after tea. The children hide in the secret garden, hearts hammering. They hear the front doors open, hear Mrs. Medlock's shocked voice. "Master Colin is not in his room, my lord. We cannot find him anywhere." They hear heavy, uneven footsteps crossing the hall, the study, the long gallery, coming closer, closer. Colin steps out from behind the ivy first, barefoot cheeks flushed with sun, standing so straight he is almost taller than his father remembers. Lord Craven freezes, face gray, eyes hollow. He thinks he is seeing a ghost, his son as he was before illness, before grief. "Father," Colin says clearly, voice steady and musical from all the singing, "I'm not dead, and neither are you." Then he walks, slowly at first, then faster, across the grass straight into his father's arms. Lord Craven falls to his knees in the dirt, arms crushing Colin to him, sobbing like his heart is breaking all over again, only this time with joy instead of loss. Mary and Dickon watch from the doorway, holding hands so tightly their fingers hurt, tears sliding silently down their faces. Have you ever watched someone you love be given back to life right in front of you? Let that moment live in your own chest now. Let it expand until there is no room left for anything small or dark. Lord Craven looks up through tears, sees Mary standing there, small and fierce and covered in earth, sees Dickon with his gentle wild smile, sees the garden, his wife's garden, exploding with color and scent and impossible forgiveness. He opens one arm without thinking, and Mary walks straight into it. For the first time in her life, she is hugged by a grown-up who wants her, really wants her. Dickon hangs back shyly until Lord Craven reaches out and pulls him in too. 3 children and 1 broken man kneeling together among the roses while the sun sets slow and red behind them. Old Ben Weatherstaff appears at the door, hat in his gnarled hands, eyes streaming, he manages a creaky smile and says, "Tha did it, Miss Mary. Tha did it." And Mary, contrary, sour, wonderful Mary, buries her face in Lord Craven's coat and whispers, "We all did." The camera pulls back slowly, showing the manor no longer dark and shuttered, windows flung open, curtains dancing, servants laughing in disbelief, the moor itself seeming to breathe easier. And somewhere a robin lands on the swing, tilts his head, and sings the two clear notes that started everything. Rest now. Feel those arms around you still. Father, mother, friend, garden, all of them holding you exactly as you are. We have almost reached the end, but the most important part is coming. The part where I tell you what the garden wants you to take into your own sleep. Let your body grow heavy, warm, completely safe. You did it. You stayed with me through every thorn and every bloom. I'm so proud of you. Sleep now, my love. The hardest part is over. Shh. There is almost no sound now. Only the garden breathing with you, in and out, slow as centuries, slow as healing. Everything that needed to happen has happened. The doors are open. The children are running. Lord Craven is laughing again in a voice that still cracks sometimes but is no longer made of grief. And yet the story is not finished with you, because the garden never truly ends. It simply waits inside your chest until you are ready to let it grow again. Close your eyes tighter now. Feel the cool grass beneath your bare feet even if you are lying in bed. Feel the sun that warmed Colin's face warming yours. Feel Mary's small, rough hand slip into yours one last time. Dickon's quiet smile on your other side. They're not leaving. They're only stepping back so you can notice something. Notice how quiet it is when every lost thing has been found. Notice how light you feel when you finally believe you are allowed to take up space. Notice how the air tastes like forgiveness, sweet and a little sharp, like the first strawberry of summer. Did you know that Frances Hodgson Burnett, the woman who wrote the original book in 1911, was told by doctors she would die young? She had been sick and grieving and hollow. Then one spring she started digging in a neglected garden behind a rented house in England. She wrote to a friend, "I have found that when I make things grow, I grow." The entire novel poured out of her in 6 weeks while her hands were still blistered from pruning. Some stories are not invented. They are rescued, petal by petal, breath by breath. And here is the deepest secret the garden whispered to me while we were walking together tonight. Every single person you have ever met who felt broken, every single part of you that once believed it was ugly or spoiled or too late, is nothing more than a locked garden waiting for a small contrary child with dirty hands and a sharp tongue to come along and say, "I have decided you are going to live." That child is already inside you. She or he has always been there, waiting behind the ivy, holding a rusty key. Have you ever been the locked garden? And have you ever been the child with the key, sometimes both on the same day? If either memory is stirring now, let it stir. Let it rise like sap in March. Nothing is wasted. Every tear you cried watered something that will bloom later. One last tiny truth before we let the night take you completely. When the film wrapped, the crew left the garden set exactly as it was. They couldn't bear to tear it down. Years later, people still visit Allerton Castle and find the roses have seeded themselves everywhere, along paths, through cracks in stone, even inside the old greenhouse where no one planted them. The head gardener says every spring he finds new bushes he never bought, always in places where someone once stood crying or laughing very hard. He calls them the secret children's roses, and he never cuts them back. You are one of those roses now. You always were. Even on the days you felt most like dead wood, something green was pushing. Something red was getting ready to open. So here is what the garden wants you to carry into sleep. You do not have to be good. You do not have to be fixed. You only have to be willing to let one small door creak open. Let the wind in. Let the robins sing. Let the contrary child inside you start digging, even if her hands shake. Everything else will happen by itself. The way spring happens, the way breathing happens, the way love happens when it is finally allowed. Feel Mary's stubborn little chin rest on your shoulder now. Feel Colin's new strong legs ready to run for both of you. Feel Dickens' gentle wild heart beating steady next to yours. They are saying thank you for staying with them, for believing them when they could barely believe themselves. And they are saying goodnight, not goodbye, because gardens never say goodbye. They only say see you when the light comes again. Have you ever been loved exactly as you are? Thorny, half wild, still growing. You are being loved like that right now, by every green thing we met tonight, by every child who learned to walk again, by the woman who wrote the book with blistered hands, by me. Let that love settle over you like the softest blanket stitched from moonlight and more mist. Let it tuck itself under your chin, behind your knees. Around your heart, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to prove. Nowhere else you need to be. You are home. You are whole. You are growing. Good night, my sweet, brave, impossible friend. The garden is inside you now. Locked doors cannot keep it out. Winter cannot kill it. Time cannot close it. Sleep. Sleep deeply. And when you wake, whenever you wake, push your own small hands into whatever earth is nearest and begin. Shh, my dearest. We have reached the final page together, and yet nothing is ending, only softening like dusk folding itself around the manor one last gentle time. Let your whole body sink one layer deeper. Feel the mattress become more grass. Feel the blanket become warm, Yorkshire air in late summer. Feel my voice become the garden itself, whispering right against your ear. You did it. You stayed. You let every thorn and every bloom touch you. I am so proud of you, so grateful for you. Before I close the book and let the rain carry you all the way into dreams, there were just a few more things the garden asked me to leave with you. Small seeds to plant behind your eyes tonight. First, remember the robin, that tiny red-breasted bird who was never afraid of Mary's sour face, who sang to her anyway, who knew exactly where the key was buried. There is always a robin in your life. Sometimes it is a person, sometimes a song, sometimes only two clear notes on the wind, but it is always there, waiting for you to follow. When you hear it tomorrow, or next week, or 10 years from now, stop, tilt your head, and follow. Even if you are tired, even if you are afraid, follow. Second, remember Colin's first real step, the way his legs shook, the way he fell, the way he stood up again, because two small hands were waiting to catch him. Every time you take a step you think you cannot take, every time your legs feel made of glass or grief, remember that somewhere there are children running barefoot through roses shouting, again, again, just for you. You are never walking alone. Third, remember Lord Craven on his knees in the dirt, a grown man who had forgotten how to feel anything except pain, suddenly remembering that love can be louder than loss. If you ever meet someone who seems locked forever in winter, Someone whose doors have been closed so long the ivy has grown over their heart. Do not try to break the door down. Simply kneel in the dirt beside them. Cry with them. Let them see your hands are dirty too. That is how gardens are reopened. One kneeling person at a time. And last, the most important seed of all. You are Mary, you are Colin, you are Dickon. You are the robin, the key, the crooked rose that refused to die. Every day you wake up, a small contrary child with blistered hands opens her eyes inside you and says, I have decided you are going to live. Believe her. She knows the way. Did you know that when Agnieszka Holland finished the final shot, Lord Craven carrying Colin through the garden while Mary and Dickon run laughing beside them, the entire crew stood in complete silence for almost 5 minutes. No one called cut. No one moved. They just cried and watched the children keep running long after the camera stopped. Some moments are too alive to end when the director says so. This is one of those moments, so I will not say goodbye. I will only say what the garden says every night to every sleeping child. Grow, grow. I will be here when you open your eyes. Greener than yesterday. Ready for whatever you bring me. Tears, laughter, bare feet, broken wings. All of it welcome, all of it wanted. Feel the book rest against your heart now. Heavy and warm. Filled with earth and roses and children who learn to run. Feel the manor settle into silence. Feel the moor breathe slow and steady beneath you. Feel every locked place inside you click open. Just enough. Just enough for moonlight to get in. You are safe. You are loved beyond measure. You are growing even while you sleep. Good night, my sweet, wild, impossible friend. Thank you for letting me walk with you through the garden. Thank you for every breath you gave to these children. Thank you for every tear you let fall. They have all become roses. I will leave the rain on, soft and steady, to water everything we planted tonight. And when you wake, whenever you wake, push your hands into whatever small patch of earth is nearest, or into your own chest if no earth is near, and begin. The garden is waiting. It always was. Sleep now. Sleep, sleep.